One of the reasons I'm doing this is to experience, test, figure out, crack this conundrum of doing anything for anyone and just being content with doing it for oneself. So for myself in this case. And I've done this before in different formats, but nothing as kind of in your face and public like this, where I wanted to create, and I challenged myself. It wasn't 110 days, it was 30 days challenge of creating art. By art, I just mean literally I was painting, I was doing watercolors every day. And I did it sort of anonymously, meaning I had no audience. I had a platform which I actually don't think I had any followers on anyway. Anyway, I'm pretty sure if I did, it would, yeah. So it was like what are they called? Tumbleweeds Down, which I love, by the way. So anyway, so I was posting every day for 30 days and like motivation. What if no one ever sees my work? Can I not still motivate myself to create it? And I did, and it was. I kind of haven't really done a proper review of that. Well, I did. Okay, so it was hard, but I completed it. But the piece that I was after never happened, and the piece that I was after was satisfaction. But what I then figured out, and this is the bit that I haven't written about or haven't actually, announced it to the world. Okay, I've done this research, I experimented with this is my finding. So I suppose in a way this is a premiere. What I discovered is that creating art is actually killing time. It's a distraction, and it's like escapism, basically. It's a blissed out state, and sometimes you kind of have to. The motivation there to create isn't necessarily, so you have to push yourself. But once you're in it, in that flow, it's just time stops. You're just blissed out. But that I didn't find it satisfying. I don't find it satisfying ever. It's not substantial. It doesn't fulfill me. It flows me. It makes something effortless. It's like a dance, I suppose, but it's not satisfying. It just isn't. So, and further conclusion is that because the art I was creating was pretty, well, for me at least, and it was watercolors, it was just play on colors, and just with the actual medium, I just love watercolors. It's actually the actual act of painting is like a dance, is physical act. Well, I suppose with any paint it is, but more so with watercolors and all the merging and the flow. Oh, just heaven. And okay, some pieces were prettier than others. Again, when I say pretty, according to my aesthetic. But my point is, that was the whole point, just to create something beautiful. And before that, I was doing a lot of doodling, as in digital watercolors or painting or whatever, and I still do occasionally. But because my only criteria for this work and for that challenge at the time for 30 days was just to create something, and every time my default is to create something beautiful, according to me. And that was never satisfying, ever. As in, like, lastingly so. It is like, it's beautiful, pretty, but like, I just wasted, kind of wasted however many minutes or hours, depends how long it took. Yes, it was great, but there's no sense of, like I say, there's no sense of satisfaction. Okay, so the second piece, or the third conclusion or whatever, was that unless I'm resisting the creation, it's not going to be satisfying. And when by resisting, I don't mean motivation, I mean the actual creation of it. So to me, there are two distinct things. So I can, I can feel demotivated to begin with, because it's just like, and I think it's because I know the end result isn't going to be satisfying enough. It's not going to be worth me putting myself through an effort at the moment to then, create something pretty, but it's just poof, gone. It's just, didn't leave me, it left me feeling empty. So there's that demotivation or lack of motivation, and there is demotivation and this one is kind of lethargic in flavor, in energy, vibration or whatever. The other one is fear. The other one is terror. And so the other one is excuses. The other one is running away from it, because I know that if I create it, it's actually not about publishing, because posting, publicizing, whatever, because I know the act of creating it will be, I will be a different person as a result, and it will change me. That change I'm not keen on putting myself through. And yeah, so She Maverick, this channel, for the time being, although I'm working on a few other things as well, it's that kind of, it's a mixture at the moment of both, because I'm actually not creating. So at the moment it's more lethargy before I'm coming onto here to do this, because I'm not really creating anything that is transforming me whatsoever. And partly this was not ever meant to be like a artistic outlet, but that's still not to say that this won't be, especially because my idea of artistic expression, that the one I'm referring to, the one that will transform me, is not about visual painting or something. It's, well, I haven't got actually fully defined definition just as yet. So because I'm not at that, so because I'm still like, this is just doing it because it's a challenge and I'm doing it, but it's not fulfilling me. It's not satisfying me at all. And I still haven't figured out how and why, right? Rather, how to rectify that, and why it's not. I mean, I know why, in the sense that I'm not producing stuff. I'm not, the content here is just like, it's actually not for me. I think this isn't for me yet. And I think that's the key. I'm still talking to someone that I identified in the very first video, someone who might need to be, encouraged that just doing something alone is actually safe and exhilarating and exciting and wonderful. So I'm still having this audience in mind as I come on here, this one person or however many, and that's actually draining me. That's making me feel lethargic and like, I don't know, what do I say to that person? And yet, I don't know if I create these videos like maybe 3, and then I post only the 4th one, and sometimes I go all the way almost, and then I mess up something at the end, and because I'm absolutely not interested in editing, I just then delete. So I don't know if I said this or not, or in this one rather, but I will. If I have, I'll repeat myself. But this piece that the only exhilarating work, output rather, the only output that will exhilarate me, and therefore, so not bliss me out, not escapism, but actually exhilarate me, because fear is very akin to exhilaration. So like, I'm feeling excited, but actually I'm terrified, because I don't know who I'm gonna be after I said this, after I put this out, or how that's gonna change me. So I know for a fact that in my life I'm at this stage now where I'm more than ready to do that. But the piece that I'm just doing it for myself is still, I think, rooted in meaninglessness, which I think is an excuse, which is a resistance piece. So the 6 videos up to now are about this someone who, you know, might need to hear that there is someone doing something alone. But really, okay, I'm losing my thread now. So on one hand, I know if I'm doing it for someone, however amazing that someone is, rather amazing, someone that actually, you know, I genuinely would love to help in this way by just being me or whatever. So if I'm doing it for that person, then it's lethargic. It's just not inspiring enough for me. But if I focus that I'm just doing it for myself, I fall into the trap. Well, then what's the point if I'm just doing it for myself? I know what I'm doing. I know, like, there's something there. I'm still trying to figure out why it's. It sounds like it's an excuse. Like, oh, what's the point if there's no one, you know, if I'm not doing this for someone outside of myself. This piece about, you know, how we all, well, how many say, like, we need to find something bigger than ourselves in order to give meaning to our life. But I say it's enough to give it, to do something for yourself, because yourself is bigger than you can imagine yet, and yourself will grow through that act, and yourself will connect to the higher, and then fill in the blank. So you are doing that work of something bigger than your, you know, small self. But the language of that whole narrative is a bit judgmental, and therefore I just always found it a bit stinky and sticky. So to wrap up, my task, and because I'm doing this daily, yeah, I don't know. I just, yeah, whether I'll be able to do it next video or in a few videos time. I just want to crack this code that this work, but it might not be YouTube. Maybe it's not this YouTube channel, as in, I don't know. But this, to crack the code of producing content that is transformative for me, because that's the one that I feared in the past the most, and probably still do to an extent. But B, it's the only one that actually makes me feel fulfilled when I do it, and I have done it occasionally. So I just need to figure out how to do that here. So for this not to just be, you know, a bit of a chore or a bit of a, it's not a problem in itself, just not sure whether that's the right way to do it, right way for me. Okay, on that note, 13 minutes, and day 7 is completed.